just so I don't forget later. Martha's at the ending plus. Oh, you were working on a Mass Marth, right? Mass Marth was a consideration I also had. I ignored Grail IV units or Grail units like in my pool, but there are some Grail units that I definitely do want to perk up. Mass Marth is a big consideration, and I am debating about going plus speed. But I think the biggest priority for me is going to actually straight up be Love Abound Zellywood. Because you can make this man reach the same speed tier as Naysala, like a max speed Naysala, with not a whole lot more investment. Find a neutral, so it's an interesting change for you. Who is a priority? Some units I do think are more prioritized than others. Like if I had, actually, you know what? Let's just go over this, I guess, to like talk about the heroes. I think like out of like the infantry swords, let's see here. At least surprisingly fast. You know, Elliowood is like the fast armor lance in the game. That's like free to play. I guess to talk about my thoughts on it, let's see here. Navarre, I think straight up, out of infantry sword, is probably the best benefactor of getting a plus speed IV. Considering I think out of all of like these swords, like as an individual unit, not for the purposes of like arena score, but just like as an individual standalone unit or mixed comp kind of thing, Navarre is horrifying. The fact that he is such a good Gale Force unit. And I actually can recommend Navarre to people, like, even more than I could before. Rutger, while I think he's a better stat Navarre, just kind of suffers from the fact that like, he doesn't have a perf. But he still has value. And the fact that Rutger, I think if I remember, he has a super boon in speed. So he's gonna be really fast. So, but again, it's kind of like Rutger isn't a very competitive category. And I don't think he falls into the category of Godsword or anything, so it's hard for me to recommend Rutger, but he still has his inherent value. Yeah, Rutger's gonna pop out the day he gets a refine. Like, and honestly, if he just has like the same thing that Navarre has, Rutger is infinitely better than Navarre. Navarre has nothing anymore. Which is really sad to say, but I could see them doing that with Rutger. I do think Rutger is really good. Astrum is sort of a weird one. I don't think he benefits as much, but he's still not a bad candidate for it. Plus the fact that him and Itsuki are two of the highest scoring arena like infantry swords in the game. And I think Bartra is like in third. Or like the same bin, but he needs like absolute max investment just because he doesn't have a perf. And a lot of people aren't going to build him up because Carrot Cudgel's a really good sword. So like these two I think like could use it, but they don't get enough out of it in my opinion. Navarre's a really good winner. Rutger's a pretty good winner. Lloyd just kind of got shafted because of his refine. Tobin actually does like the extra IVs, because Tobin could just use the stats. And like he has really good mix bulk, so there's that. Marissa, if she gets a refine, she could be really good. And I will acknowledge Marissa on that. Especially considering she's like slightly better. Lonku. Lizard still makes me more sad than his refine. Yeah. Yeah. They could have done a little bit more with Lloyd. Joshua could also, in my opinion, be really good, but it's so hard to recommend Joshua until he gets a refine for his weapon. Because you can just go with like a res refine Wodao, and you get more stats. And then that basically does it for the infantry. Do you think people actually have Marissa and fought her for IP? I actually know a decent amount of people who actually straight up plus 10 Marissa. Because they really do like her. And she's not a bad unit. She was just, like, in that awkward spot. Oh, my favorites keep getting made into IP fodder. Like, Marissa's a good unit. The problem with Marissa is just that, like, she doesn't have a perf, so that automatically just kind of hurts her by default. Like, even Soleil, who I think is one of the best free-to-play sword infantry units in the game, is really good. Like, she doesn't have a perf, so she just kind of suffers. But, like, Marissa is very comparable to Long Ku and Navarre. Like, stat-wise. So, like, she's not a bad unit. And I know people can be like, oh, well, Long Ku and Navarre aren't that good with swords. No, they're actually pretty respectable. Like, let me just show you guys. Hold on, where is it? There he is. This is a +2 Long Ku. If I gave him, how about Athena as a comparison? Athena is also pretty in that category. Like, she's kind of in like that same archetype. And I would say that like she's better than Long Ku because of her refine, but worse than Navarre because of the double cooldown that Navarre just inherently has, which makes Navarre, in my opinion, like a very cheat infantry sword. But like stat-wise, they're very all comparable, yeah. But like you can just like get away with like stuff like this, and you don't always have to invest like into the best infantry sword in the game. Like, I think like while the god swords are really good, we're always gonna see a rotation of the god swords. Like, remember when Carla used to be one of those kind of god swords? Remember when we thought this was a horrifying nightmare? I remember when this unit was scary. Exactly. Like, we don't remember, like, these old god swords anymore. Like, we see, like, rotations all the time. Like, Eliwood, who went from whatever, became an absolute monster. And anyways, we were talking... Oh, you mean the Wrath Fodder? Hey, man, if you're not interested in building Astrum, that's what Astrum's for. Investigate melee infantry in general. Melee infantry, I think, is fine to invest into. It's just that swords in specific are hard to recommend. And then you have lances, which is such like an off category from how few that there are. Like, including Fjorm and Sharena as like free to play, you only have 5 options for lance infantry between Fjorm, Sharena, Donald, Lucas, and Obero. You literally have nothing else, which is kind of sad. And then axe infantry is a little more competitive, but at the same time, like, while we don't have like god infantry axes, we do have some really solid ones that I can definitely recommend investing, like Ross or Echidna. Mordecai, best lance infantry. Mordecai is not a bad support unit. I do actually like Mordecai. Plus the fact that he's a 750 scoring unit, I think is really cool. And then I guess out of like, since we were still talking about Grail units for IVs, Mordecai is very good. I used to use him a lot more in Astro Season than I do now, but I still think Mordecai is a very, very solid unit. And then out of the, let's see here, the armor swords, Black Knight I think is the biggest winner when it comes to IVs. Considering you can give him like an entirely new build that he couldn't like justifiably use before. Where you can run stuff like solos, special fighter. He actually can make use of special fighter. Only bad thing about Mordecai's strength 50 is that he can't really use his perf repo effect when going for scoring. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part, but at least you have that option. Galia Emblem for fun, but I don't have a Lethe. I mean, we got both Lethes on this account. But no, like, I do think that Black Knight's probably the biggest winner. Zephiel's just awkward. Maybe there's something I'm missing with him, but I feel like Zephiel's the biggest loser when it comes to the armor swords. And then Arden's kind of in the middle. If Arden gets a refine, I do think Arden could creep up past Black Knight as like the best armor sword for free to play. But it's just hard to recommend Arden just because of that. But like Arden's still like a very good unit. Arden fight should be soon. Should he be soon? Let's see here. I think we're a bit of a ways off from Arden, if I remember right. Okay, we're actually, no, never mind. We're around the, kind of around the ballpark for Arden. Because everybody Cliven before, minus Xander, obviously, does have a refine. So ignoring like the DC weapons, we have Volter, Arvis, Arden, Joshua. Actually, this row right here, this Volter row, is actually like the end of Oliver. Yeah, no, we're almost in Gen 2. Arvis doesn't have one either, but they were at the same time. Yeah, they were around the same time, more or less. Yeah, no, right. Oliver was our first Gen 2 unit. So assuming we don't skip the line, this Volter row should be like the next row of refines that we get. Honest to God, I really just want to refine for Arvis, and I'm gonna say that Arvis with IVs and a potential refine could actually be really good. Like if he gets a loot like style refine, Arvis, in my opinion, could actually go and become one of the better red mages in the game. And I'm hoping that's the case for Arvis. Because Arvis needs the help. Since Valflame is pretty bad. As it is right now. If Arvis is... No, I want like a style refine. Like, it could literally be a copy, but I prefer just something like in the same boon. But like, I think there was like one like stat I wanted different, but I don't remember what stats loots refine effects. I mean, Arvis with an IV, I think, would get more out of it. But, like, they could always just do more with Arvis, I feel. Like, it doesn't have to be a copy, like, but I just want him to get a good refine. Because Arvis has been lacking as a red mage for quite a long time, unfortunately. It would be cool if he has something that uses his B-perf skill. I mean, it would be. Kryzen Kanas. Yeah, I mean, Kanas really got shafted even when he came out. It hasn't had a real reason since to, like, ever be used. I remember when Kanas came out, I foddered to my summer Leo. Just because I was like, that's the best use of Raw I could find. But no, like, units I think that, like, I feel like this entire row kind of needs it. Arden and Black Knight the least so. Black Knight, I feel getting IVs kind of helps him in the lack of a potential refine, because I don't see them refining DC weapons anytime soon. I feel like we'll see that after a while, but Black Knight, I think, freebie will make Karlov people strong on release. I remember so many people being upset about that, but I think it's funny. My man's Bartra got a super powerful wife. I don't see the issue. Not sure if I should go plus res on Arden. I feel like that depends entirely on the set, but if you're running like DC Vengeful Barrier Blade, I could see that working. Like, depending on how much you, like, invest into his res. But I know, like, you need, like, a lot of res refinement. Like, mine already has 31 visible. Yeah, I could see you going res refine, like, so you hit, like, 34 pre-visible, like, 34 visible. And then you just kind of stack it up from there. With, like, I mean, obviously speed res solo isn't, like, his ideal, but it's the only solo, like, res seal in the game that gives him, like, the most res. Obviously, you'd swap it off for probably, like, attack res solo whenever we get that as a seal. But no, you can do some cheeky stuff with Arden. I've seen a lot of really cool builds. Open tech, there we go. And then... yeah, we were still talking about Ivy Mangoes and refines and stuff, too. I don't know what to say about Kempf now that I look at him again. Because Kempf is such a weird unit, but he has such a unique playstyle, and I do love it. Gale Force Armor's carried me like, really? I tend to just love about Eliwood everything, because Casablanca is a dumb weapon. Hence why we're pretty maxed out. No, Kempf is a really cool unit, and I feel like it's just like, he's so awkward to build around, but like, if you do build around him, and build him well, with like, moderately high investment, Kempf can be a horrifying unit. More so than he was in his actual game compared to his maps, but I do see a lot of potential in Kempf. Kagero. Speed helps him. Actually, what is Kemp's speed? I don't even remember what his speed is. I actually want to look that up. Kempf, with his signature weapon, Venom Edge. Plus speed. Actually, yeah, no, plus speed does help him out. Oh my god, plus speed actually helps him out a ton. Like, max flowers at plus speed and plus 10, you hit 42 speed. Oh, jeez. No, Kempf, I didn't realize Kempf was this fast. Wow, no, Kempf actually is really good. Okay, never mind. Kempf actually, I would say, is a huge winner off of IV Mangoes. Playing difficulties, Fallout Denial. I mean, it doesn't even necessarily matter because he has such good bulk. But I could see the issue, yeah. And plus, like, if assuming you run him on, like, Cavline for Anima, you can, like, just run, like, a bunch of, like, Ward and Go Cavs and make him, like, even bulkier. So, I'd say Kempf was actually a really solid contender. Xander, I know you can super speed buff him, but honestly, after seeing Kempf, it's kind of hard to recommend doing that for Xander. Fiora and Ashnard, I think, are also really good winners of it. More so Ashnard. Because you can get, like, a plus attack or a plus res IV on Ashnard now. And make your mans really bulky. So, I do think Ashnard's really good. Fiora, obvious speed boon is really good. She's a fast flyer. You know, I do think, like, out of the flyers, Ashnard's, like, the biggest winner. And then Eliwood. I've said my piece on Eliwood. Give Ashnard an attack speed reign. I would wait to give him attack speed reign, because I don't feel like Ashnard's speed is, like, so whatever. Unless you super speed invest into him, you're not gonna get a lot. Which, I mean, sure, you can be like, oh yeah, 25 effective speed, but I'm not a fan of that. Yeah, I would wait till attack defense reign for that. And then out of the Cavs, Berku, in my opinion, is actually probably the biggest. Well, actually, let me first. The Berku and Death Knight, I think, are huge winners off of this. Because Berku can just now have more bulk, which is amazing for him. And then Death Knight, you can actually run speed Death Knight and just watch this man go Neum on your team. Plus, he, in my opinion, has one of the best lances out of the lance calves in the game. Like, in my opinion, I think Death Knight is definitely top 5. I would argue between Oscar and Perry for first, in my opinion. And then I would actually put, like, Berku and Death Knight for, like, 3rd and 4th. I'm not 100% certain on who I put in 5th in that category. I do like Camus a lot. And I also like, Matilda and Clive, but I don't know if I put them that high. Or if I even put, like, oh yeah, I don't know if I put any of, like, those 3 that high. Speak to Efrain to pass Valencia when, please. Considering Flyers can't have lulls, I would absolutely love that. Let's put someone bring Clive and Matilda both plus 10 summer supported and ally supported with each other. Matilda can be a scary unit if you are willing to invest into her. Combine that on Dive Bomb. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Dive Bomb, in my opinion, is a really good beast skill for Alencia, and she's kind of lacked that for a little while. I would pull for more to Barnes, but I'm saving my orbs. They get +8 to all stats next to each other. I mean, I love support skills like that. Play the Matilda with low attack speed. She can probably do that kind of build. Matilda's a very solid unit in my opinion. Alright, and then, I did, like, don't forget Clive can run Golden Ward too. Yeah, no, Clive makes, like, a very good support unit, while Matilda's, like, more of, like, an offensive, like, styled unit. Because Clive does have a very good weapon. And there was a point where I thought about, like, actually building, like, a +1 Clive, but at that point I was also like, I kind of like Matilda more. But Clive can rotate as a bonus unit, so it's sort of weird, but I don't know. I'm still also not really, like, building, like, a ton of units until we do this, like, huge unit building stream. Though you will see me build George on stream, I will tell you that right now. We're gonna build George on stream before, like, anything, like, big happens. Then the Lance Flyers. Oh my god, these are such an awkward category the more I look at them. Some of the Lance Flyers I do feel kind of get more boons out of this, like Volter. I think it's a pretty big one. I was too lazy in Clive's TT. I can understand that completely. Clive's TT was like kind of disappointing considering at the time Clive was an awful unit. And it felt like a joke to have a Clive. But out of Lance Flyers, I feel like Volter, Sigrun, and Cynthia, in specific Sigrun, are probably the biggest winners out of it. Sigrun actually does appreciate the speed. Volter will appreciate the stats more when he gets his Refine. Because I imagine they're going to refine his Cursed Lance. And Cynthia's not bad, it's just that she's in such a competitive pool. She kind of falls into that category of why build her, but if you build her, she is technically worth. So, I do think that Cynthia will stand to gain something out of it. Volter will, once we have a refine for him, and his should be coming up. Probably after the CYL2s, I would imagine he'll be like one of the next batches, and then Sigrun's a cheat. Like, she started the new Gen BST for Lance Flyer, but at the same time, she's still, like, another Lance Flyer without a perf. I can imagine some little effect and stronger version of his current Lance on Volter. I don't even remember what Cursed Lance does, I just remember I liked it, at least, like, at the start of the game. I could see them doing, like, a lull effect. Like, maybe give him, like, actual Fury... Like, give him, like, Fury 3 with, like, an attack speed lull. I could see them doing that. And then maybe, like, a slaying effect. Oh, he already has a slaying effect. Like, slaying Fury 3 with a lull. I could see that. And then maybe, like, if the enemy... Well, I mean, this is kind of a boring one because they've been doing this as of late, but, like, if the enemy has some sort of, like, penalty on them, considering he does come with Panic Play, if the enemy has, like, a penalty, he gets a Dive Bomb effect, basically. Or, like, kind of like an S Catria. Or, actually, no, I could see, like, an S Catria style, like, guaranteed auto-double. And then Axe Infantry. Poor Ilger. Her time in the sun was so short-lived. Once, like, Ross and Echidna came out, and they started scoring 750 and just being better Axe Infantry. I do think Legion is probably the biggest winner out of Axe Infantry in the game. More so than Linus, more so than Grim Hinata, more so than Ilger. Didn't bring enough sunscreen to stay in the sun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, Legion is absolutely nuts. Like, for those of you who are in my Discord, I know Dino, like, posted a really good Legion build that I'm kind of excited to see, and I think it's super gross. Like, Legion can just be a ball of stats. That's horrifying. I'm actually a little upset I got rid of some of my Legion copies back in the day, and I don't even know what I did with them. But Legion's pretty good. I wish Legions would work with lulz. I mean, it's just awkward for him, but I feel like Legion still got so much out of his axe that he's fine not to really need lulz. Plus, I kind of like lulz more invested in the cavalry anyways compared to infantry, even though like they still can use them. But now Legion's like a huge winner, in my opinion. Legion's a good unit. I straight up like Legion a lot. I mean, if I ever make like a free-to-play account, which I keep going back and forth of, Bunkers just suddenly have rather than +7, yeah. You know, NFU, in my opinions, are really good. His defenses are paper. If you bulk him up like with speed and actually do go speed Legion, you can run like repel, spurn, and stuff like that. So, and, like even with like fortress defense res, like where was the build that Dino posted? Because I know he like posted it in my Discord. Yeah, there we go. Like you can like at max investment with the speed IV, you hit like 47 speed, 47 visible speed, mind you. 53 if you go with the speed res solo, and you still have like 37 defense with 33 res. So I do think like that Legion like can be. Someone know this? No, like it like Legion can be like a horrifying unit, and I think that Legion like this might be Legion's time going forward. Oh, evasion. Oh, that's what you meant. Okay, I'm used to like just them being called like the speed damage reduction stuff. But no, he definitely can like run like those kind of skills and just get away with it. And then so, like, I feel like Legion's just like straight up the winner. And then out of axe armors, there's not much to discuss here. Dorcas, in my opinion, is still kind of just like a worse Flame Emperor. But Dorcas does get that attack super boon, which is really cool. So, I'm going to say good job, Dorcas. And then Flame Emperor, I know has like the speed super boon that a lot of people are talking about. But I feel like that's kind of... Has free-to-play attack, yeah. But I feel like Flame Emperor is still going to be the kind of, like, the better unit to invest into. Just because, like, even without, like, going, like, a speed super boon, you can go a res super boon and fix, like, a moderate amount of Flame Emperor's issues or hard focus into defense. So, I like Flame Emperor getting a res refine, or a res boon. And then Axe Cavs, I don't think there's much room to really talk about Grim Marth. Everyone's still going to kill him for Ardent Service. Walhart, I think, could actually also be in that same kind of category as Kemph. Where Walhart actually does benefit a bit. I forget what Walhart's weapon does, but I know it was... I remember I liked it. Yeah, no, he gets +4 to everything. So, you can run, like, Wolfberg, like, +10, plus speed with flowers. Now, you hit, like, 40... Yeah, you can hit, like, a 40 speed, like, base just off, like, max merges, flowers, and, Wolfberg. You hit, like... Well, including the Wolfberg buff, you hit 40. That's no field buffs, that's no skills. So, Walhart could get there. Like, I feel like Walhart, like, already being a solid unit, Walhart's gonna just do better. So, I actually would recommend, like, Walhart in a lot of ways. Plus, with every other Axe Cav kind of not being that good, I feel like you're gonna you'll see your value out of Walhart. Axe Flyers, Michaelis and Minerva obviously get some decent stuff out of it. Navarre or Narcian. Narcian, I mean, Narcian's not gonna be like Narcian will appreciate it, considering he wants to be a tank and tanks like every stat they can get. So, you'll see your value out of Narcian. And then Har and Jerome. Those two, unfortunately, do not get a lot. I guess it'll be fun if you got battle cards. Hot Claire, absolutely, yeah. I feel like a lot of units would just love those weapons. Like, could you imagine like Camus or Harden with freaking Dimitri's Gradavis? Or George with Win Parthia? George would act like, and I'm talking about like colorless George, not blue George, but like George would actually be a horrifying, like, light archer. Just the fact that he heals himself up, I would be scared. You still streaming? Yeah, we're still streaming, Amu. We're just talking about Grail units and IVs and all that. Just imagine Cav Range Michaelis. Ooh, Cav Range Michaelis sounds a little scary. I don't want to imagine that. I just need a little more bits to end the stream. How many more is a little bit, Amu? Because it should be like... I guess yet again you would have like... probably close to it when you just leave it on. Even better, Cav Range Respondent Minerva. Jeez. Define a little. I mean, you said... Also, I will hydrate, and my posture is currently good. I am sitting up straight. Okay, I'm demand refund. Oh gosh darn it, it's doing this again. 1 second, chat. I need to fix a minor audio glitch with the stream setup, so give me 1 second. And also, I'm literally just leaving the microphone on right now for y'all, so you can just listen to me to make sure I'm still here while I attempt to fix this. Then... Okay, there we go. It's fixed. Then there's like a minor little like sound in the background that was getting on my nerves. So you guys like pizza. And Zach with the points go burr, haha, tee hee. But anyways, that was like the axe ones. Rolf and, like, I guess they go into archers now. Rolf and Louise, oh my god, these two. Like, these two and Clarice, in my opinion, like, out of archers, are like the winners. Like, Rolf has a res super boon. I mean, if you want to go like more of like a tanky style of Rolf, yeah, he does appreciate it. But like these two, or like these three, I should say, are all really good. Like with IVs, I feel like Clarice has like the potential to be one of the strongest archers in the game, but like a lot of people just aren't gonna invest into her. But I do think that Clarice is really good. Takumi, I think, will be better if Scotty gets a refine. Didn't kill my Louise and Rolf. I have both of my Louises, but I didn't do anything with them. And I +1 my Rolf. So, it's a good time. And then Corrin, I mean, the defense super boon helps him be a better close foil archer tank, but I don't feel like that's that great. Especially with like the rest of his stats. Jomka gets a little bit out of it. Like, he's not a bad archer, but I don't feel like he's the best. I know 1000 uses Clarice is a very effective tank in his FTP account. Oh, really? Huh. I don't know who 1000 is, but I mean, it's cool to hear that somebody actually uses Clarice. Speed Coral Bow go. Oh yeah, anybody with Coral Bow, I think, like, out of like these units that use, like, I actually wanted to get Coral Bow for Rolf. 1000 when the Japanese front pages. Oh, okay. That's actually really cool. I like knowing that. No, I feel like Clarice like has that potential to be like one of the best archers in the game, and this like Grail or this IV, like the IV mangoes, I think are gonna help Clarice a lot. I actually want to arguably put Clarice as like the biggest winner out of archers. But I do think these units all benefit. Loki... Loki, you just have bad stats. They kind of messed up Loki. And it's sad because I actually do like this unit for like her being the only free-to-play flying archer in the game. I feel like Loki has that potential, but she's not really there. Boki is still top fan service, though. Absolutely. She is absolutely like a fan service unit. Even though I'm not a big fan of her artist. Personally. I know they also did Summer Norn, and I'm not super crazy about like Summer Norn's art. Oh geez, that's those are some stats on Loki. If I wanted, they really could give her a reign, but CYL Claude coming in. CYL Claude, I think, out of free like flying archers, like including free to play and non free to play ones, because like I don't like to count Brave units as free to play. I count them as free to play friendly, but not free to play. Like Claude, I think, is definitely gonna be one of the better ones. Like out of all the flying archers in the game, I would just argue between like him and Wings of Fate Hinoka, because Wings of Fate Hinoka is kind of like a dumb unit with Warrior Princess, but I definitely would put like Claude up there as probably the most universally good one. And yeah, Loki can be more invested in too, but again, the problem with Loki is like she got so stat screwed and like you can see more of Boki's hair. Her normal version. I don't know. I like the hat on the normal version, but yeah. Anyways, we're done talking about Loki. Daggers. Daggers, I think, is really interesting. Where I feel we only have one loser, and even then, I don't think that she's a real loser. I think Air is like the closest thing to like a loser, and yeah, like the problem I kind of say with Air is like she's Tamari fodder. But she's not a bad unit. I've seen some actual carry airs. Jafar, in my opinion, is one of, like, I don't like... Jafar with access to speed. Speed or res, honestly, I think is really good on Jafar. Like, you can go either boon with Jafar. She's just also Tamar. You know, like, again, like, that's kind of what I mean. Like, I feel like Air is, like, the biggest loser. But at the same time, she's still, like, a winner. But, like, Jafar, in my opinion, is, like, a huge win. Like, Jafar, Kranya, and Gangrel, I think, are the three, like, biggest winners out of this. Jafar actually works, like, with speed or res. And, like, on Astra Season, if you went with, like, res, you can just buff his attack and defense. So, and he's already pretty fast. Or you can just buff his speed and then make him even more of a monster. And then just kind of lose on the res side of things. So Jafar gets a lot done. Plus you can run a special fighter on him. He's already inherently fast. Jafar, good unit. I'm actually debating about building Jafar. He's a consideration. Gangrel, I think, is actually kind of scary. Like, when you have a weapon with, like, 3 blocks attacks like this. And yeah, Gangrel, like, again, can score pretty high. But build Jafar if I were to for off chance free Renolf comes out. You know, that's a fair assumption, Zach. I mean, Jafar, I think, like... Okay, so talking about Jafar and Winter CC, I think they're two very different units, and again, I feel like every dagger is a winner. Like, I feel like Jafar is an arguably better offensive unit, considering, like, when you think... Like, when I think about, like, a lot of, mages in AR, I'm thinking of a lot of blue mages, right? Like, I'm thinking about Legendary Azura, I'm thinking about Ophelia, because... People still like the potato with Ophelia. Obviously, I think Lilina and Lysithea are a bit scarier. And Cecilia will handle them better. And, like, Jafar is just going to melt to a red mage, but... Well, to a strong red mage like that, but... Jafar, I feel like because Jafar works on Astra as well as he does, and he can be like a dual phase or a dual season carry, excuse me. Jafar has a lot going for him, in my opinion. So, like, again, I feel like Jafar is the better offensive one, while CC is the better defensive one. Kranya having IVs is good. That was always one of the biggest, like, banes of comparing her to other free-to-play daggers, like Soth, like Matthews, Saizo, Kagero. I know a lot of people did invest into Kranya, though, so her getting IVs is just going to help, but I don't know if people are going to, like, prioritize her because of that. Oh, yeah, and you can run HP. I forgot about that. Like, you can reach, like, better HP thresholds. I don't super like the idea of hitting higher HP, though, because, like, we're going to consistently see these buildings go up in, like, tiers and such. So, eventually, that HP investment just isn't going to be worth it. But if you're the kind of person that's, like, I only care about hitting, like, for that week in specific and not, like, in long term. Plus attack will only get you 2 more attack. I was more something, like, plus speed, but, like, another reason for attack could just be because, like, I know Kranya can miss kills. But, I mean, it's fair to say, like, yeah, like, again, it depends, like, where I feel like you want your investment, like, if either short term or long term. I feel like attack Kranya might be better in the short term of things, but if, like, speed Kranya will be better in the long term. 47 speed isn't enough for you. It's arguable. Like, speed is, like, a factor in this game that just keeps creeping. Especially as we've seen with stuff like repel and spurn units and such. Like, in some cases, like, we're seeing some units hit, like, 50 plus or even 60. Haven't seen enough spurn skills on defense. Yeah, I've seen, like, a moderate amount. Like, I remember I ran into, like, I think it was, like, a 55, like, speed Chris, and I'm like, well, I can't hurt this unit. So, like, and again, it's rare, but as the skills become more available, and as we see, like, the speed power creep keep rising in the game, it's something I think that's just worth considering. And again, like, it depends on, like, if you're going for short-term or long-term. Like, right now, no, you probably don't have to go plus speed. But if you're like, I don't want to reinvest IV mangoes into Kranya, it might be worth considering in that sense. Then CC and Camilla, briefly go over them. I feel like Camilla appreciates it. Her getting a little more speed or just more stats in general is always helpful. CC gets to be more specialized, which I think was kind of like an issue she sort of had. But it's not going to hurt her. Red Mages, I think, is also a really weird category. Garneth, I think, kind of needs, like... I'm Hulu, I think, is just weird. Like, it came out, like, during that point where they're like, we're gonna make really gimmicky weapons, and, like... I'm Hulu just kind of was in that spot. But I feel like Garneth could get something cool, like, eventually. So it's hard to know where Garneth will go with it. But I do feel like Garneth is a cool unit. I actually, like, have somebody on my friends list who plus 10 Garneth. You know, like, Garneth and Takumi, like, both have room for, like, interesting refines, but it's very easy to mess up. Like, they're either gonna get, like, normal Takumi refines where it's really bad and, like, you just kind of give up hope on the unit, or you're gonna get, like, a Celica quality refine and just love life that you invested in that unit. Magic is... No, like, I could, like, see Garneth on, like, an Astro defense with, like, that kind of weapon. I feel like that might be, like, where he would shine, like, Astro defense, because, like, we don't have a res Astro Mythic. Ah, yes, why did you give us hell instead of a res Astro Mythic? But, like, Garneth could get somewhere. It's just very iffy on where. Arvis we talked about a bit already, but to reiterate my thoughts, you give Arvis something good, like, in terms of refine. Arvis could just pop off and then suddenly become, like, a god tier red mage, in my opinion. He has, like, he's a little under the speed threshold for a lot of good skills, but like with IVs and then a potential refine, he could just shoot up. Julius, his dragon weakness is hurting him more and more. Like when he came out, and then once we got Grails and all that, he wasn't bad as a tank, but even Thraseer can beat this man. Which is not when a green mage can beat a red mage. Kanas. Yeah, he was a funny gimmick. And, like, I also feel like he has, like, that potential, but, like, he needs the help. Like, even with, like, IV mangoes, though, I don't think, like, that's the help. Like, he needs to refine with IV mangoes in order to, like, be a thing. Kanas just needs help. Imagine Hulu's effect happening every turn. I do not really want that. And the Kanas, as we went over. And he already... No, like, that debuff is really good for Julius. It's just like his dragon weakness is like the part that hurts, which thematically it fits. Like, and I love like the creativity that they went with Lopdeer, but as a unit, like, being too thematic sometimes isn't a good thing. Yeah, we went over Kanas. Leon is, like, just kind of sad to talk about. Like, IV Mango's help because he no longer has that weakness compared to Sophia. But until he gets a refine, he's going to continue to be a worse Sophia. Like, it's really just Leon waiting for a refine. That's what he needs. Yeah, his refine is going to either make or break him. And, like, once he has a refine, it technically helps. Because, like, he'll have, like, more, like, a little bit more viability because he's also just a GHB. But I feel like it's going to determine if people are going to either want to plus 10 him outside the people that like him. Or if people are just going to, like, be like, alright, this unit's nothing but an Arena Assault unit. Like, if they just give him a T8 refine, he's kind of hosed. And yeah, Resplendent, like, Sophia did hurt a lot. And then Iago. Ooh, Iago. I actually do like Iago a lot as a unit. But he does need heavy investment, which kind of sucks. Like, you do need that even pulse tie on him. I think it's even pulse tie. The one that Nils has. I don't think Iago benefits enough from IV Mangoes to really justify it. I feel like he's fine at neutral. But plus HP does let him hit more things. Kind of similar to Aversa, but Aversa can use more stats. Like, speed is also really good. Had someone this week who didn't know how to actually use his tome. His tome is weird. I do admit his tome is kind of weird. Like, I sometimes get mixed up on which effect is which, but Iago, like, will appreciate, like, IVs, but, like, he doesn't need them as much. And then Aversa, our light season queen that everybody loves and a lot of people use, and, like, probably one of the most support and carry styled units, like, in late season. She's gonna benefit from almost every IV, in my opinion. I do think HP and speed are gonna be her two best. Not specifically in that order, but Aversa gets a lot out of it. Titania, I think, is also really cool because her getting speed helps a lot. Because she was always, like, not really slow, but just, like, on that point where she misses out on some doubles. So Titania, I think, is a huge benefit for her. Yeah, no, Titania, like, exists. I do think, like, it's a really big deal for her because she's, like, one of the very few free-to-play red mage calves. Because we don't have a lot of those. Like, almost all of them are 5-star exclusive. So I do think that Titania, like, benefits a good bit from it. And then blue mages, I think, is kind of interesting. Like, Delthea, Ursula, and Brunya are the three big winners, in my opinion. Sias is, like, in that same category of, like, Arvis and Julius. Which, haha, the irony of that. If they get Killer from my Amelia, it's fine. Just use a pivot. You know what? I can understand that. I know a lot of people did kill off their Titanias, but I just +1 merged mine. But yeah, Sias, if he gets a refine, again, kind of in the same. I feel like if Sias gets like a similar like Bane of like a loot styled refine, it'll help Sias a lot. But Sias is just so awkward as a blue mage. Like Delthea, Ursula, and Branya, I think are the winners. And I will say, as a potential future investment, and I'm not memeing about this, even though we joked about beauty earlier in the stream, Oliver could potentially be really good. Like, we already know that a lot of people run the Serpent Tome on him. You know, Oliver's like actually like a good unit. We did get 7 copies. We got 7 copies of him? I thought it was like less than that. But no, like Oliver, like if you are willing to invest into him. Yeah, I thought I remember first Morgan. I've never pulled a female Morgan, and I wish I had, which is why I watered an Ursula like forever ago. Because like whatever my like this is back when calves like were really big. My Oliver's +6 spending reels. Maybe I know I foddered one Oliver. And maybe I'm just, like, misremembering. +3. My manuals. Oh, no, you are right. Yep, we did get 7 copies of Oliver. You were 100% right. So, yes, you can get a +6 Oliver without spending any grails. So he's a very cheap unit. But I do think, like, it's Branya, Delthea, and Ursula. Specifically, Branya, I think, is the biggest winner, just because Branya's already such a good carry. And, like, you can accelerate her forward, but she doesn't need it as much as, like, Delthea or Ursula. And then if Oliver gets, like, a really good, like, perf weapon, I think Oliver actually could shoot up. I don't think a lot of people are going to recognize Oliver, because they're like, oh, he's just a meme. He's the 3rd girl, we got the most copies of. The other 2 were Zephiel and Xander, right? If I remember correctly. Collecting data on Branya regarding attack versus speed. I'm usually an advocate of if a unit's fast, make them faster. Especially like to future-proof the unit. Narcian, really? Huh. I don't know. I don't remember what it... Number 1 at 9 copies. Number 2 is Robin with... We got that many copies of female Robin? Huh. I actually don't remember that, but okay then. But yeah, again, just wrapping up my thoughts on Oliver. If Oliver gets like a really good perf. She had a 2-star version. I mean, yeah, but those are just like Grand Hero Battle like copies. Like it wasn't like extra copies. So I'm trying to remember, but I don't know. I don't remember where we get all of our copies of Grand Hero Battle Heroes from. Yeah, Oliver, if he gets a good perf, gonna do it. And then the green mages. Female Robin, unfortunately, I think just kind of got shafted. Like, both of her are fine. Like, I feel like it's better just to run a stat refine. You know, I do remember Oliver now that I was just, like, miscounting in my head. But yeah, you are right about the Oliver thing. But, like, refine and resplendent kick you, yeah. Female Robin just... What she... But, like, female Robin needs, like, the help. Unfortunately. She's just, like... She's kind of lackluster even at +10 right now. And, like, even with the Resplendent, I don't think she'll be super great. But, like, with IV Mangoes, if she gets a Resplendent, which that'll be huge if a Grand Hero Battle Hero gets one. we could see something out of her, but I'm still not gonna hold my breath. I think out of green mages, it's literally gonna be Azura and Leo. But the problem with Leo is that he was a better Cecilia stat-wise, but then Cecilia got a refine that's like perfect for arena assault. So then Leo just kind of fell to the wayside. So I think like out of green mages, it's literally just gonna be Azura. And Azura, I mean, Azura is deceptively bulky, but like you will need to high invest into her for the mangoes to matter, in my opinion. What's the best inheritable green tome? For green tomes, let me actually... I need to actually look at them all again, because I don't remember, like, all of them off the top of my head. Sylvain's, I mean, Sylvain's isn't bad. I mean, there's Madness Flask. Yeah, Madness Flask, which is Halloween Lara Shells, is really good. So yeah, I would say it's either Madness Flask or Spectral Tome. I think those two are probably the best. Because I'm also a really huge fan of Panic Weapons. And then I'd probably put... like... Melon Float in probably third. And yeah, Fury's boring, but like, it's the best that we got. But I do feel like that when Little Azura is like the only real winner out of green mages, with like Robin and Leo benefiting, but they're not going to be doing a lot better than they already could. Staff units are sort of weird. Silk likes the attack. I mean, they all like the attack, honestly. Ethlyn, I remember, like, yeah, Ethlyn's pretty fast, and she'll appreciate the speed. Rise is just fodder. Hey! Hey! I like my boy Rise. He's a good unit. Rise, Reese, however you want to pronounce it. He's been a helpful unit, but I do understand a lot of people are going to just sack him for the Palm Staff to their favorite healers, which, in that sense, I understand it. So, staffs, there's not a lot to talk about. I think Ethlyn probably is the biggest winner. Silk in second. And then he's unfortunately in last, but there could be something for him. Dragons, we only have the two. Garen, I think just having bulk in general is really good for him, even if you don't run his perf. Because, like, his immunity to... Yeah, Garen has his weapon, and I feel like just the fact that you can say, I'm not weak to dragon, or I'm not, like, actually a dragon, but I am a dragon, is really huge. I've actually been debating about building Garen just because I think his weapon's really good. But I keep alternating between, like, I want to build Garen or I want to build Adult Tiki. So... But Garen, very solid investment, honestly. Male Kana, I think, does get better. But the fact that he doesn't have a refine, I think, hurts. Alright, Aremia, yeah. Aremia, I think, also will be really good, because I did forget about her. Aremia, I think, actually has that potential, but... Aremia... is still, like, just... Aremia should have had a perf. I'm just gonna say it like that. Or not been, like, this boring of a staff unit. Killed too many Garens for me to really want to build him. I haven't killed any of my Garens. So, I still, like, could build him. Connor said he didn't get it. Yeah, no, he should have gotten a refine. I feel like it was just kind of dumb to skip over Milkana. Unless they have something completely different for him. Which, I wouldn't be opposed to that, and that's why they made us wait, but... I also just don't like Milkana as a character, so... But he could actually be really good with Perf. And then the last two that I'm going to go over, Pan and Nasala. Pan, I think, is really huge getting IVs. It'd be cool if he had the same breath, but little deaf. That'd be pretty cool for Kana. I actually kind of want, like, a little def res for, like, Felicia, but... Yeah, Pan's a real good unit. Like, Pan getting IVs, I think, helps her out a ton. Because she's... You can basically just use her, like, in so many different ways. Like, she has, like... Like, let me just say this. when your weapon is Yu-Gi-Oh text, it's probably good. It's probably a good weapon, right? Like, she gets, like, so much to everything. She has a lull built into her weapon. She denies follow-ups. She's fast. Yeah, exactly. She has, like... I feel like Pan has, like, a lot to gain from it. And you can make Pan a horrifying unit. Like, let me actually just look at Pan's, like, stats real fast at max investment. You know, you hit, like, at plus speed, 43 base. With, like, 49 attack. And that's, again, not even counting, like, Togwell Fang, like, actually doing anything. That's just Togwell Fang equipped. So, Pan... Yeah, a lot of hidden stats. So, I feel like Pan will be, like, a huge winner on it. And then Naysala. Naysala also is really huge, in my opinion. Not as huge as Pan. But Naysala hitting 50 base speed at plus 10 max investment. No skills. Kill my pants for spelling. Same. Pan can probably pull off. Probably. Like, there's not a lot that Ranulf can do that, like, other units can't. But, like, Pan and Naysala, I think, like, out of the beasts, are huge. Naysala hitting 50 speed is really big. His stats are more respectable. The defense super boon, I will also just comment for the sake of commenting, isn't bad. Because it lets him get into desperation more consistently. But now that we have Dive Bomb, it's sort of hard to say, like, oh, Naysala is, like, the obvious one. But I still feel like Naysala will probably prefer speed and just kind of benefit the most from that. But anyways, that's pretty much, like, all of my thoughts on the Grail units. And, like, you have your winners and losers in, like, every category. I feel like there's a lot to gain from these Ivy Mangoes, even on the neutral units. And I feel like it's really cool that we're going to get to, like, see more people play with a lot of these ideas. So I'm looking forward to a lot of this going forward. So I'm not, yeah, it's just a Pegasus fight sucks. Pegasus fight's just a hard to use skill. Like, he has the res for it and the speed. Like, he has, like, the stats for it, but I don't know. Naysala is just, like, so weird. Like, I'm mostly more upset that I just can't give him, like, speed Death Rouse. Because, like, I would love to just have him go off on his own, run into somebody, get into desperation range, and then start killing things. But we're not allowed to have nice things. He's only allowed Speed Death Oath, which I absolutely hate. Though I'm still probably going to eventually try and give it to him whenever I get the fodder for it. But that's, again, pretty much my thoughts on the Grail units. There's a lot of winners, some more so than others. And I will say, evaluate if you feel the unit really needs the IVs. Just because a unit's neutral doesn't make them bad. So just think about where you want your Grails to go. But that's my 2 cents on, like, basically every Grail unit in the game.